iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
This is an island built on speed. The very nature of this being a Honda development test track suddenly turned from motorbike here to GT action. The Virtual Racing School GT Sprint Series finds every single time a way to have some amazing action. 40 minutes worth of racing today is going to be very much all about keeping an eye out on so much amazing battlegrounds that we will get ourselves into, or so many amazing battlegrounds, I should say. I'm Jake Sperry, joined alongside by one Mr. J. Kennedy, here for action today in your VRS GT Sprint Series, here in Cowes, Victoria, just a stone's throw away from Melbourne. And really you can say here, Jay, that this is one of the premier Australian tracks. We are going to zoom on right down into the very, very south. Just a little bit of work to do there. You can see the likes of Bathurst up north, Sydney, Tailem Bend, Adelaide, Canberra and Winton. But really, this track is probably the closest you can find to the Southern Hemisphere, with the exception of the Tasmanian circuit that is going on. But there you can zoom in and see that is how close we get to the edge of the ocean.
Yeah, it's almost at the edge of nowhere. And that run down towards turn one, you actually can see the ocean off in the distance. So it's an amazing facility, and as you said, not too far away from Melbourne, around about an hour's drive, hour and a half's drive from Melbourne. As you cross a very, very narrow bridge to get across to Phillip Island, a beautiful tourist destination. Across the home of the fairy penguin is Phillip Island, and they have a penguin parade every day where the penguins come in from the ocean and get themselves onto dry land to go and get themselves some food, and it's actually live streamed every night, which is some pretty cool viewing as well, which actually caught a lot of during lockdown. So a beautiful facility, and We talk about it so often. You know how good racetracks are. When you don't have corner numbers, you have corner names. All but 2 corners named on this circuit.
Absolutely, and it's all but those 2 corners. You could question maybe turn 7 as well as being a corner or not, but
It's
at
not
least
really
at
a
this
corner,
moment
is it?
in time, 12 turn corner, it's going to be a very important battle that we are going to be seeing then here today. Those first times are just about to come up then on the board in qualifying. Lorenz de Rijk, currently the quickest out there on a 1:26.7. This is going to be an interesting battle in terms of firstly, what car you choose, and secondly, what do you think is the right idea? Because Audis are going to look pretty strong in terms of how you push forward here today. They've got a very nice balance about them, as Lorenz de Rijk has proven over the course of his time. But John Derrick has gone quicker in his Audi by a good 0.4 of a second. So that certainly works. But then again, this could be a circuit which really does favour the high-speed cars, those who are very good at the top end. So maybe something like a McLaren, for example, could do very good as Ahmed Garib moves up to P2.
Yeah, nice lap, only 0.05 of a second away from P1. But it's going to be a really interesting race on that aspect, because during practice we saw every single marquee being used. Every single car manufacturer was out there on track in practice. So I think a few drivers are a little bit confused on which option to go for this round. It's a track where every car has a strength, but as you say, the Audis will be strongest based on that front straight. Definitely helps. And I'm surprised that we aren't seeing more McLarens based on the front straight as well. But yeah, Audi definitely looks like it's the car of choice at this stage.
That was Matthias Beer in a very, very striking BMW out there. Of course, the prototype. Derek can't improve on his first lap, so he's going to practice that very difficult pit lane, try and get right, as Garib, I don't think, is quite there. So it's Iapicino who has moved up into 3rd position. Nicolas Pacheco into 4th place. So there is Anderuti then looking to charge in the Lamborghini, number 4. How's the time going to look over the line? It's at 26.4 being put on the board, but it looks like 3rd position for Leandro Anderuti out there on circuit. So that will definitely help out in terms of the times. Felix Schuster comes across for a 27.3. Couple of Lamborghinis there, as we see the Freaky Fast Racing Lambo doing a pretty decent job.
Do love that livery that they've got, and Thomas Hinz will be the last time that we see out on the circuit, but he's a little bit off on this run at the moment, so he may not improve on this lap. He's actually aborting that lap now. So everyone looks like they've done their laps potentially. Maybe one more, a couple more still to do a lap time, but not many left. With still 2 minutes left on the clock, almost everyone has finished their laps.
Almost everyone. Werner Neugebauer is searching for a chance here, as is Matthias Beer out there on circuit. And there's a Ford. We don't see much of the Ford, and Jonas Seeger deciding that it is a Ford today that they go on through, and they are trying to really pilot on and showcase around this place. And I'll tell you what, that's a very, very striking Ford as they go through in the Seeger sim racing machine there. It's almost got that death stare as it goes through each corner, like it deserves to be there, and there's a grit and determination around it, trying to gear it up. It's going to start from the back though today, and I wouldn't say that is a bad idea around this place, Jay, due to the nature of this circuit being so quick and so easy it is, as also Neugebauer goes for a moment as well, how easy it is to run yourself into trouble.
100% difficult circuit, this one, and the elevation drop through turn 10 is something that does catch a lot of drivers out, as well as everyone has now finished their runs. So don't be surprised to see the elevation of turn 10 to catch drivers out. Going to be interesting to see who handles that, as we have qualifying results just about to come up on screen.
I definitely think we do, and that's going to be very much worth keeping in mind, as we've had some very, very strong results in qualifying, none so more than car number 1 in position number 1 then, when it has come to exactly what is needed overall. So John Derrick will put the car up then on pole position with a 1 minute 26.305. The margin there in terms of qualifying is, I believe, we just have a little bit of a wait session to jump over and make itself forward. So let's have a little look there at MG corner, turn number 10, down the hill. Of course, for those who do like their motorbikes, that is the famous corner when Vincenzo Iannone managed to headbutt a seagull in the middle of a crazy race out there on the track. But we should be able now to get the grid up on screen for you. John Derrick is going to be very much on pole position with a 126.305. Ahmed Garib will be alongside him, 126.349. Leandro Anderuti will start then from position number 3 in the Lamborghini, with Luca Iapicino starting from 4th place. Nicholas Pacheco goes from 5th, with Lorenz de Rijk there in 6th position just alongside. And then it's Christian Moore there in 7th, and Kilmani Almeida rounding out the top 8. Andrea Salvi is in 9th, and the first McLaren of Elliott Smith starts in 10th position, with Thomas Hinz piloting around in the AMG Mercedes then today in 11th place, the first of those, and Andrea Dalla Valle in 12th position overall. Following that is Anders Thies Ankersen in 13th position, Vitor Gens then in 14th, with Francisco Javier Gonzalez. So good they had to name him twice. He is there in 15th position, with Werner Neugebauer there in 16th. Quinn Mitchell and Jason Williams make up the 9th row of the grid, both AMG Mercedes GT3s, with Felix Schuster and Elia Morini then in the 19th and 20th positions. EJ Nixon starts from 21st, with Mauro Sanchini there in 22nd. Matthias Beer, the first of the BMWs, there in 23rd, setting a time late, with Matthias Bengston then in 24th position in the Lamborghini. We flick over one more page because there is only a handful more drivers to go through. Robert Plumley is next in 25th position. He is also a, I would say, steward helper out there for Nim Cross when it comes to everything that goes on, with Nathan Parkinson, Jonas Seeger, and Guto Di Carvalho making up the 28 drivers then, as the iRacing Porsche first safety car sets off. And the long wait there from John Derrick, making sure that everybody sits and waits at his pace as we get a little look around this place. It is in sim time, about a couple minutes past 1 p.m. right now here, Jay, and it's worth noting that this track is cold. It's 23 degrees and the winds are howling.
It's pretty much realistic, because that is about what the weather would be down at Phillip Island right now. Icy cold, the wind blowing from, in real life, blowing straight from the Bass Strait straight onto the track. So wind chill factor of probably about minus 15 down at Phillip Island right now. So always cold, always need to take your jumper, or you always need to be t-shirt and shorts. There's no in between at Phillip Island. It's either icy cold or boiling hot.
Absolutely, you never get an in-between, but what you will get is that same style of racing. It's never a middling race here at Phillip Island. You either get a really, really strung out race, or you get a really tight and compact one. It is one or the other. It is never both around this place. We're on our one formation lap, looking to sort things out. It seems like the Audis and the Lamborghinis have been the real stars over the course of the qualifying there. Audis look like they are the best placed, and it's because of that short wheelbase as well, Jay, which means that they can stay really, really compact and carry a lot more speed through the high-speed corners.
Yeah, exactly right. It does mean that they seem to be able to close in and have that closer racing, but the power of the Mercedes seems to be having its own benefits as well. So I'm surprised to see such a mix. I mean, take out the front 7. From there on back, it is a really mixed up field of brands, isn't it? You got Lamborghini, McLaren, Mercedes, Lamborghini, Mercedes, Audi. Then you go down a little bit further, another McLaren, a BMW, Ferrari, and a Ford. We've got all 7 out there on track today, which is great to see.
Absolutely it is. So we'll be seeing how that one will all work out as they head out of MG through 11 towards turn number 12. It is John Derrick in control of things at the moment at the front. 2 RBR cars there, the Rottenberry Racing Machines then are first and second, Ahmed Garib second, and already John Derrick's decided to go. We are going to be underway then here at Phillip Island. The green flag drops and 40 minutes are put on the clock. So now it's all about Draft Central City, baby, on the Gardner Straight, heading towards Doohan Corner, turn number 1. Very difficult to get it right through 1. It's 2 where the big battle comes into play as they hit the brakes and go through the left. No challenges then as yet. Garib running a little bit wide through the middle, and that is going to allow the attack then from Anderuti in the Lamborghini here, trying to get close enough to attack this one to move up into second. It's the run through Casey Stoner Corner on the breakthrough. Battle going on for 4th behind as the Yappuccino, and there's dramas as off goes Lorenda Reich.
Unfortunate moment there, and the Reich, such a great start, but that's just shuffled him all the way back to the last runner. Another car off at Siberia is Sancini.
Yeah.
It's going to continue on though.
Mauro Sancini then having a moment as they crest over Lukey Heights and down into MG. Hitting the brakes hard, a bit of side-by-side in the middle of the pack as Thomas Hinz finds himself then trying to get by Andrea Salvi on the outside, and Hinzy's trying to do everything possible there, but that Lamborghini is staying put at this moment, going through and through the final corner. He tries everything, but you can see how much they really lose out by going side by side through those last 2 corners. Gap is gone, and suddenly they've also got Elliott Smith for company as they will look towards turn number 1 here as they go through, and the Mercedes picks that one up quite nicely.
Nice move there for Hinzy to get that position, and he is now clear and away. There's Quinn Mitchell. Something's happened to him. He's decided to...
Wow.
That's very, very alternate section of the circuit to be. I'm guessing he's just gone straight ahead at turn 1.
Oh, there's been contact. He's been turned around by the BMW of Matthias Beer. He has gone pretty much straight on at that point. He's lucky he hasn't actually crested over the jumps and gone straight back across. That's a massive accident as they've gone through. So look at this lineup. Tries to get the run here on this straight. Someone's off there on the side anyway. So there you can see that's the freaking fast Lamborghini there that's got off the road and has lost a couple of places. But this is how quickly it all goes wrong in towards turn number 1. Exacerbated by netcode. Goodbye. And that is a huge off at that section of road.
Big moment, wasn't it? Lucky to end up back on the circuit safely. Could actually have a penalty for cutting the course, yeah.
It is Anders Thies Ankerson and Elia Marini who are both around at MG. And there were 2 separate incidents then. It was Ankerson who was trying so desperately to stop the car down the hill. He was out in the grass. He had a big moment over Lukey, and he just could not stop at all as we focus on Garib there in the number 2, chasing down his teammate, his Rottenberry teammate in John Derrick. It was a case of Anders Thies Ankerson being unable to slow the car down in the grass.
The front 4 have definitely broken into their own little pack now, and the rest behind. It's a nice little move there.
Yeah, that is Nicholas Pacheco getting the move done on Christian Moore. So that battle going on. You've also got Kilmani Almeida just behind. You'll be definitely searching in that number 7 machine to try and move on forward. It's a case of 4 in the rest at this moment as they take the rise, and Luca Iappuccino is very much on the cusp of being dropped by the top 3.
Definitely is. He's sort of in no man's land at the moment, isn't he? He's sort of close enough that he's just holding on to the draft, but the guys behind are starting to close in ever so much as Parkinson side by side.
Yeah, he is, and he's really not happy about that hit after contact with Felix Schuster in the freaky fast machine. He's lost the place now to EJ Nixon, and suddenly Guto de Carvalho wants to try and gain that place here as he looks to try and get it. We'll look at this on the Virtual Racing School replay. Title sponsor and replay sponsor here today. You can see Schuster's trying to line this one up in the Lamborghini, trying to work out a way to go around the outside of the geodesic car. He gets an angle to the inside, he lunges for it, just can't get it stopped.
Yeah, just a little bit too deep on the brakes and had to use Parkinson as a brake marker for him and elbows him out of the way. So yeah, I can completely understand why he wasn't too happy about that move, because I wouldn't be either. But definitely not what you want to have happen when you're battling for position. Have someone elbow you out of the way. Is good battles all the way through the field. There's nobody that isn't in a battle except for the guys that had issues on lap 1.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way at this moment in time. Everyone has formed into their own pack mentality out there on circuits as we focus on this one going forward. Andrea Dalla Valle and Vitor Gens going for it for 11th position down the hill. Big wide line being taken there by Vitor as he tries to open up as much corner as he can, but it's a very, very tough circuit to open up and to really attack. You're dealing with all of the elevation changes around this place. It's very much like driving on the side of a cliff.
Definitely is. I mean, we sort of are, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's why you said that.
Yes.
But yeah, the edge of the cliff literally is just off, sort of turn 2, and that's half the reason why Siberia has its name, is when you go off the circuit at that turn, at turn 6, you find yourself that far off the circuit, you almost feel like you're in Siberia. It's that cold, it's that wet, it's that far from nowhere, that's where it is, Siberia.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's that difficult as everyone looks to figure out where they need to be in the battles as we continue to watch this one. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. There was a little bit of netcode contact between Dalla Valle and Vitor Gens. Dalla Valle off the road, and that's going to allow 2 more drivers through. There's a bit of side-by-side between Jason Williams and Matthias Beer goes on through. Dalla Valle trying to fight back hard here against Francisco Javier Gonzalez. And just as we go to replay, there is dramas.
Yeah, Schuster was around, and the rejoin that he's had has ended up in another incident. So we'll pick it up on the VRS replay. Big thanks again to VRS for their support of this series and of sim racing in general, and of us at SimSpeed TV.
Horrible hit, but then he tries to put the power down, and guess what? That is Sanchini again getting caught out in the Sky car. So it gets horribly wrong at that moment in time. And you try and gather it back up again, and this is his view of it. So they all start to really collide together with each other in front, and he thinks he's clear of all of it there on the inside, being patient, but tyres light up because you're in the grass and you've got less traction once you bring that grass onto the surface, which of course is part of iRacing's track state model, which is put into the sim, and you've just got no grip. There's nothing you can do about it. Battle though here out on circuit there as we focus on the number 22 of Christian Moore. This is against Nicholas Pacheco out now, and there is Luca Iacchino just in front. Just behind right now. He's actually just lost the place over the course of this lap. That was a pass done into turn number 1. And at least for this moment in time, it seems like more to be done for Nicholas Pacheco. The top 3 still very much in a train right now.
So at the front, those front 3 now 1.7 seconds ahead. Strategy, though, will be a key. John Derrick, sure, he's got the lead of the race, but not necessarily the best thing to have the lead of the race, because he does have the disadvantage of using the most fuel, and that green tucked right in behind. He is in the best place right now, being underneath the rear wing of a teammate, always a positive. Being able to save fuel, and that's a big mistake.
What a save by Leandro Anderuti there in the number 4 from Club Diach. It was nearly a huge drama for him as he tried to get on through the corner, but that is the nature of the Southern Loop. It is off camber when you get through it. You always think you can carry a lot of speed through that section. You need to if you want to be quick. Got some side-by-side behind though there as Thomas Hinds was in his own little battle there. He was trying to work out a way through on Christian Mora, but he was not going to get through. And look at that, box seat, get the popcorn out if you'll kill Manny Almeida.
It's another one of those situations where you're in a 3-car battle and you go from attack to defense almost within the same corner, because if you get a move or attempt to make a move and it doesn't quite work, the driver behind has the opportunity to steal that spot away. But you're right, this is a great view he's got, because that battle ahead is very, very intense between Hinz and Moore.
Absolutely is. It's also on the front stretch for the race lead, Derek and Garib. And Garib very much decided to lift out of it on that run towards turn number 1. He wants absolutely none of that race lead with his teammate. John Derek right now is doing all the donkey work, and I think Ahmed Garib wants to profit. There's some side-by-side. There goes Hindi around the outside trying to pick it up in the AMG Mercedes. He gets on the brakes in towards the southern loop, and there's not much you can do about that. You can get as close as you like. You can touch him on the back if you want to there, Christian. That is Thomas Hinz's move.
New lead up, Garib through now, and John Derrick's dropping back now to 3rd in line. So Derrick's decided that he's used all of the fuel that he wants to use, and he's dropped back to 3rd.
He just pushed too wide actually on the exit of turn 2, got himself in the grass, lifted off and said, well, I might as well fall behind and say oopsie daisy. We've seen a couple of times that's been the case this season. Hinz, they're in the number 3 car, still having to play that defensive pack. And Thomas Hinz is the sort of driver who's not necessarily the fastest on track, but always finds the right strategy.
He always finds a way to move forward, doesn't he? He may not have, I mean, he was the fastest of the Mercedes out there. He's qualified in 11th, already up into 6th position, and he's only 4 seconds behind the lead, so he's done a pretty good job in that aspect. Talking about drivers that have moved through the field, it's our biggest mover on screen, up 10 spots, Well Cavallio.
Yeah, Guto de Carvalho there in 18th position, started in 28th, the very back of the field. All 28 runners are still going, as the only Ford in the field now of Jonas Seeger has his eyes set on Robert Plumley, as we have a driver in the pits for the first time, and it is Matthias Beer in the number 14 BMW prototype there, as that dives down on and looks to get itself going forward. More battling going on then as they run towards this next section of road here. So Kilmany Almeida, eyes on Christian Moore, but this is the key. Big lunge, that could be too much down the inside. Hinty's trying to get out of the way of it as contact double, and Hinty is not happy with Kilmany Almeida on that one.
100% not going to be happy, and deservedly so again. Just another big mistake from a driver, outbrakes himself, and Almeida costing him 4 positions, and Almeida's cost himself 4 as well. So unfortunate incident there, but they're almost going to have to try and link up and work together to close that down, because they've lost not only positions, but they've lost about 8 seconds to the race lead. So they've cost themselves a fair bit of ground in this race.
Yeah, that will be the bit that really hurts. I tell you, though, who's been the driver that I've been impressed with, just quietly. Look at him. Nicholas Pacheco is there, and just quietly reeling in the gap at 26.8. That last time by, matched the leaders, and he's only behind by 0.6 of a second on these drivers in front, the race trio that you've got there. Garib leading, Anderuti in second, and then Derek in third. This is all about work at this stage, as Andrea Salvi finds himself now up into 6th position, and he's got behind him Christian Moore as they make the change during all of the dramas. But suddenly you've got Elliott Smith as well, who wants it.
And Elliott Smith up a couple of positions as well from where he started in 10th, up into 8th, so he's moving forward, moving in the right direction.
Oh, hello. That was a huge wiggle there from Christian Moore.
Only just held on to that, didn't he?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you won't quite like that smile behind of that machine there of Elliott Smith.
Will the smile continue though? Will he be able to get the move done? He's got good pace, but is he quite able to get it done? Not quite close enough yet. We're almost at the halfway point of this race as we have our leaders starting lap 11. 10 laps done. About 18 or so to go. This is going by at a rapid rate, this race.
It certainly is, and this is all about strategy. Of course, the fuel tanks are very, very important keep in mind. I know that... Oh, hello, Lamborghini. That is Matthias Bengston up at the top of Lukey Heights, who has had a pretty big moment. I was going to say it's on for the race lead at the same time, but let's have a look at this on the virtual racing score replay. So goes through the hay shed here, all on his own. There is nobody in a month of Sundays that's going to make contact with him, it seems. He gets a little bit of grass on entry, and the back just steps out and falls away from him.
Yeah, obviously getting the grass on the outside may have just cost him a little bit of rear grip, rear stability, so he definitely felt it at the midpoint of the corner, but I don't think there's any damage with the slight little hit on the wall. Looks like he's got out of it okay.
I'd say even if there was damage, he would be very much in the pit window. There is first, second, third and fourth, and there has been a change because Nicholas Pacheco is through on John Derrick, and he got the move done in towards turn number 1. So that Rottenberry racing car, which has been on the pole position today, is now down outside of the podium, and that would not have been the plan of John Derrick. It's a very tough race, and I wonder maybe if an early stop might just help John Derrick, who's struggling to keep anything in the tyres, it seems.
Yeah, or is he just uncomfortable with something else in the car? Is it tyres or is it something else? I'm not too sure as the lead closes up again, but not able to get it done at the front. Yeah, is it tyres or is it something else? Has he not got the race set up on the car properly, or is it something like that that's causing him issues? Obviously it's not the qualifying setup, but because if it was the qualifying setup that he had on, he would have already been in the pits to get fuel because there wouldn't have been enough in the car.
Yeah, very true in that respect. We've got some great battles going on up and down the order. How about this one for 12th? Werner Neugebauer is dealing with Dalla Valle and co at this stage as we focus still on that 4th place. There's the battle. The Brazilian Werner Neugebauer has Andre Dalla Valle and Francisco Javier Gonzalez for a bit of company, or in terms of the number 15 machine from Club Liberia, Francisco Gonzalez.
I think you didn't say enough Gonzalez's there, didn't you?
Well, that's the thing, because Gonzalez, the way that naming culture works in Spain is that you normally put in both the names of your mother and your father.
Okay.
So
I do like that he's Gonzalez too.
Yes.
That's a bigger surprise, I think.
Yes, the fact that there was a Francisco Javier Gonzalez before him. You never know, it might have been his first account.
Might have been.
Might have been. There is Leandro Andaruti in 2nd position in the number 4. Into the pits then, and it is a descent into the pits for Thomas Hinz in the number 3 AMG Mercedes. No surprises there. Had a little tap earlier on, and that is Dalla Valle again having a little look on that Audi just in front. And you'd say, engine-wise, they are exactly the same because that Lamborghini effectively has an Audi engine in it.
Yeah, almost everything within the cars, other than the external bodywork, is the same, isn't it? The interior is almost identical, even to the point where you see that that air pipe coming out. I don't even know how to describe it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
The bit in the inside is the same. That bit in the middle, that vent. Vent, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks for saving me, Sperry.
No worries, you haven't been playing enough Among Us lately. We should organise that. But at least at the moment, we've got Ahmed Garib out there in front, and slowly but surely, it's worth noting that Nicholas Pacheco has been closing that gap down to Leandro Andaruti in 2nd position. It's just been quietly chipping away like an artisan, 10th by 10th. The gap comes down at 0.6 of a second right now. And again, a little focus at Andaruti into turn number 1. He's very much happy to sit behind Ahmed Garib, save a little bit of fuel out there, and try and outplay in the pit stop Garib. This is a track which is predicated on do not be first around this track if ever there is a stop. Yeah,
so the only way that Garib may find himself in an okay situation is if Andaruti has to pit a lap earlier than Garib does. I don't think that would be the case. I would guess that they'll all pretty much have to pit at the same time as we hit the halfway point on this lap. But what it means, if they don't pit together, is Garieb's got a chance to maybe be able to overcut and get that played out in that manner. Not an easy circuit to get an overcut to work. Undercut usually does be a little bit more beneficial, but we've seen in this series overcut play into the hands of drivers a little bit better. So it's an interesting dynamic with this track, with one strategy usually being king, that being undercut, but the series showing that overcut is the king. It sort of means that I don't know how it's going to play out. That's a long-winded way of me saying that.
Yes, it very much is, and we enjoy your filibuster out there as we go on forward. But Nicholas Pacheco is still trying to work this gap down. He's got it down now to half a second. He's brought John Derrick for the party, and this is going to be interesting to see how Derrick is involved in all of this one, Jay, because of course we saw him drop out of the race lead with a mistake, drop outside of the podium, losing the place to Pacheco, and now Pacheco has effectively bridged the gap between himself and Anderuti.
He's not in a bad situation though, because what he's able to do there now is save fuel. Pacheco, we know, is absolutely flying as we've got more pit stops going on. We know that Pacheco definitely is flying because he's trying to close that gap. What that does, it naturally will bring Derrick back along with him. Last lap by, they were all pretty much identical pace. Interesting, the top 5 are all pretty much identical for pace. So the natural benefit that John Derrick is getting from that draft will definitely help him when it does come time to pit stops to happen. Pacheco probably not in the best spot in that aspect, because he's definitely used more fuel than everyone else. So it'll be interesting to see how the pit stop phase does change this race.
I'll tell you what will also be interesting as they charge down the front stretch once again and look for their opportunities to go out there and make something happen. As we catch something on the virtual race replay, I was looking at Elliott Smith and Christian Moore, and Moore's gone, oh, I'm scared. That's the freaky fast racing Lamborghini. Not having too much luck there in 21st. It's Felix Schuster that we're keeping an eye out on there. Still side by side in the battle going on, so we'll cut to that afterwards, I do believe. But down the inside, 2 drivers who have had issues, and that is Schuster going around, and gets a bit of Hinsey for a bit of measure as well. But Elliott Smith has indeed made a move up now into 7th position out there now, has gone very, very comfortably through against Christian Moore, who pretty much freaked out as things went pretty not ideal.
Yeah, not an ideal incident there, and Hinsey getting himself involved in another incident through no fault of his own. He seems to have been having a lot of that happen to him in this series throughout, hasn't he? He just hasn't had things go his way.
Sometimes when it doesn't go your way, you try and fight hard for those positions to come back. There is, of course, Werner Neugebauer, who is there in what is going to be 11th. There are the leading 4 as they cross the stripe once again around this Phillip Island circuit, as you see how many times you can go through. A little bit of a slower lap that time by for Nicholas Pacheco, as again it is Anderuti who is just trying to shadow Ahmed Garieb as much as possible. And we really do have to point out here as Christian Moore is just there, sees the lick of flame of the McLaren just ahead, doing everything that it needs to and a little bit more. It almost looks like Venom in some sort of respects, the way that he's going on through and trying to challenge for as much as possible. But at least for the moment, the last place you'd want to be is with the position that Ahmed Garieb's got out in front. Can't drop the position for the race lead because of track position into the pits. Can't drop, and wants to drop position for the race lead because, you know, not saving fuel.
Yep, exactly right. And that's sort of the nature of the circuit, as we said before. The undercut works because of the way the draft does play out. You don't want to be the leader, you want to be the car behind, so you can undercut and jump in the pit stops, just based on the natural flow of this circuit. But undercuts don't always work in this series, and I don't think we've seen one work at all this series, have we? So far this season. So overcut is king. Nobody pits, no surprise. Garieb really stuck between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't know what he wants to do, whether he dives into the lane or whether he continues on. He's in a really, really tough spot, and one that I'm glad I'm not in, because I wouldn't know what to do either.
It's a really tough style of series out there on circuit as you try and go through. It's very much a case of a test of fortitude and a test of tactics, more rather than a test of pace. Often when you find it, yes, you need pace, as into the pits comes Werner Neugebauer, then to make the pit stop and put the Audi in just going in with 15 minutes to go. But again, it's just a case where Ahmed Gharib is able to hold the front, but nobody's really pushing out there right now to make overtakes. And you can understand that at this point in time. They want to let themselves loose once the pit stop phase has effectively all come and gone and cycled through.
Yeah, exactly right. They want the true race to happen after the pit stops are done. This is just a holding pattern as Elliott Smith from 7th position. That's at Siberia.
That's contact.
Has to be.
And it's all because Felix Schuster span in front. Elliott Smith checked up to deal with it. And Christian Mora, of course, couldn't see because of the McLaren in front. So Felix Schuster, pretty much day donezo. It's his 3rd spin. And one that will definitely hurt in the context. There you can see, there's the checkup. And then Mora, well, he just doesn't see it.
He would have seen smoke but nothing else, and probably would have been too focused on what he was doing himself to even be able to stop anyway. So tough corner to be able to check up. Yeah, just, not much he could have done there, and he's dived it into the lane. He's dived it, a word? Probably not. Dove it in the lane. Divin.
He's divin this stage. So
been a
also
long
will come
morning.
kill Danny Almeida into the pits. Nathan Parkinson will also jump for Jay Odesic as they continue to scrap at the front of this pack. These four just quietly working well together, and the fact that they're going so quickly, they're 0.6 of a second a lap quicker than Luca Iappuccino. They're in 5th position.
Yeah, remember he was lapping at the same pace as these guys not that long ago, so they've just started to break that gap between them, and away they go, and they're all lapping within 1/10 of each other in this group as well. So very, very consistent lap times as they go down the hill through MG on the 19th run of this circuit. I reckon next lap will be when we see them in.
Well, that's going to be the question mark that we look
yeah.
at. And, late call. Leaders in 13. So Gharib goes and is followed immediately by Pacheco. Such a tough pit lane to get right because you've got that early marker cone there as you go through. And if you're in the grass at any point, you are in trouble. The key's going to be, how does Pacheco stack up against someone like Gharib? Both were pushing really hard in that stint. Derek and Andaruti were able to save.
Exactly right. So see them just off on. Here they go. Gharib away.
Even stop.
Identical pit stop times. 10.5 seconds each.
But the difference is going to be how late in the box Ahmed Gharib was. So he was able to get his stop done, and the moment that he tried to go, he was absolutely on it to 72, and really did not have to wait long at the pit speed limiter to get himself out and going. That would have been his advantage as he got himself out there and away again, whereas Pacheco had to wait for an extra, I would say, 3/4 of a second to a second there at 72 Ks.
Yeah, exactly right. And the difference in pit lane transit times, half a second. Gharib half a second quicker in the lane. But identical pit stop times at 10.5. This is a crucial pit stop for these guys now. Derek needs to nail this and try and close this gap.
Derek's got the advantage here. He's got the last pit stall. And look how slow onto the lane Leandro Andaruti is. He was very pedestrian with that line. Derek has completely closed up then as they go through towards their boxes. And remember, John Derek, he's got the easier job of pulling away. Also in behind is Luca Iappuccino. So he comes in for his stop. Gharib right now, by comparison, is only now coming through the final corner. So this looks like Gharib could have a really good stop Remember, they've got to get up to speed as well. They both go at the same time. But watch this. Derek a little slow on the getaway. Jumps in the stop. And how does this work out? Rottenberry 1-2 once again.
Wow, nice job from McGreeb to get that stop done. Oh, no.
Pacheco went for the inside. He is going to go straight across the circuit and into the barriers at turn 3. That's a huge accident for Nicholas Pacheco. And one which you can definitely say came out of a necessity to get to the inside. The door was always closing. The outside was left open by the Lamborghini there of Anderuti. And it was a malfunction at the junction. There you can see he commits to the inside. And really, you can't move over like that.
Yeah, he hit the grass, and that sort of brought him back across in front of the nose of Anderuti. So, unfortunate end of the race there. I mean, I understand what he was trying to do, but it was never going to happen. Just the pace difference meant that the move was never going to work, and nearly ended up over the cliff edge if that tyre bundle wasn't there. Unfortunate end to his race, because his pace was brilliant, but the race hasn't gone as he would have liked at the end.
Absolutely not. Look at this battle though as they come up Lukey and back down again. This is Kilmany Almeida trying to get by Vitor Gens for position. They got Thomas Hinds somewhere in the vicinity just behind, so this is going to be very difficult. The Eisenbahn car looks like it has itself mirrors full right now, as Almeida will desperately want to try and get through, as well as the 4-car scrap behind him. Neugebauer, Dalla Valle, Elliott Smith, and Francisco Javier Gonzalez too.
Glad you put the 2 on there. I would have got confused otherwise.
Yes.
I must say, Hinsey, good recovery from Hinsey. I mean, being turned around by this driver here, Almeida. But also to have that secondary incident after his pit stop where he was back in the field and slowly working his way forward. Car's a little bit beaten and bruised, but he's still got good pace in it, and he's still closing in, and he's still above where he started.
Yeah, the damage is up on the middle of the car, which is nicely worked, trying to work the outside track against that Lamborghini, who gets no drive through the corner. Thank you very much. Hinsey will pick that one up, and I wonder if that was a courtesy. I'll let you have the place after the incident that they had earlier on.
I don't think it would be. I just think that Almeida may not have any pace left in the car. He's looked strong, but you know, has he worn the tyres out a little bit too much too soon, or he's already dropping behind Hinds as well.
Certainly is. So that's very much telling right now for Kilmany Almeida, who is struggling to put everything down in the Lamborghini, and will be hoping that there is opportunity. That is way off down there at MG. That is Andrea Dalla Valle, who is, remember, in that scrap with Neugebauer as he went through, and I think it was contact with Elliott Smith under brakes.
We'll pick it up on the VRS replay. Shout out to Charlie Collins, who realised that his car is actually in the replay. So here is the incident. Yeah, a little bit of a hit from Elliott Smith, who was going for it but didn't quite commit far enough with the car sitting just sort of in the middle of the road a little bit there. Here's a section of track that you can sit in the middle of the road and you know, defend your position. Speaking of defending your position, John Derrick is going to have to do that now. He's got a lot of pressure from behind.
He certainly does. It is in the form of Leandro Anderuti, who wants to get back up into second after a poor pit stop by his standards. Dropped a couple seconds, got jumped in the stop, pitted at exactly the same time as John Derrick. They've both got a lap in terms of their stop over Ahmed Garib, and that's a spinner just in front who's just taken to the escape. And that is Guto de Carvalho who's gone around.
Here we go. Is he going to get this done? We've already seen one ambitious move up the inside, and he does get it done safely. Just,
of course, but you still got turn 2. You've got to keep it nice and narrow through the southern loop. Otherwise, it is going to be real trouble out there. It looks like there's been trouble as well for Ankerson. Anders Thies Ankerson out of the race as well. So virtual racing score replay then, as he had a big one there going through turn 2. The back starts to step out, tank slaps, goodbye.
It's been plenty of incidents, because we also saw, as you said before, there was that incident for Cavallo, and then there's this one for Parkinson as well. So we've seen 3 incidents all at the same time as we saw that overtake happen. So I wondering if tyre life starting to come in, maybe fatigue. Who knows what's coming into it now. This battle well and truly on, and also Hinz, Jens, Almeida all together as well. So 2 battles coming right down to the wire.
Absolutely, we are inside the final 5 minutes, and you wonder if Ahmed Garib's got enough fuel to get himself home, but the fact that he has a 2-second margin in front, but there you can see there, John Derrick's trying to do well. The battle is really raging on between Gens here and Hinz. It's a battle of the 2 Mercedes out there, and I think it's actually a fight for honours right now in this race of best placed Mercedes.
Definitely is. So 7th and 8th, the best of the non-Audi Lamborghinis today. The rest of the best of the rest battle, the highest McLaren is in 11th, highest BMW in 15th.
Here we go.
But this is for the highest Mercedes, and Gens just did enough there. Hinz thought about it, but decided that he wasn't quite close enough to commit to that move.
He just stuck a nose down the inside, trying to unsettle, and look at that. All that
Nice
unsettling gives him a monster run up through Casey Stoner and over towards the Honda hairpin. Here goes the run on the brakes, takes the outside track fantastically, and it's that late braking, you could even say it's that V8 training on late braking that gets him through the corner.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there's 2 parts to that. Obviously, the braking technique in the V8, very, very difficult, and something that Hinzy's done a lot of, and that would have helped. And the amount of laps he would have done at this circuit as well, being the unofficial home of Australian sim racing, considering this has been the longest, or the oldest track in iRacing for the Australian-New Zealand region. Of course, we have Bathurst and Oran Park, which both older in regards of opening dates.
Oh, that is once more that McLaren of Elliott Smith finding himself in trouble. That was Neugebauer as well, and both of them, it was Neugebauer's incident actually, as we'll catch this on the virtual racing score replay. Elliott Smith with the fantastic Saints logo on the side of the car, as well as the nice smiling face going through. You can see back steps out. That's what's prone to the Audis. When the car goes, it's the rear tyres, and well, nowhere to go for the McLaren.
He probably got away with that as well in the end, because that incident could have been a lot worse for him. Almeida trying to get this done, not quite close enough, as there's only 2 minutes left on the clock, so 2 laps to go. This race is closing down very, very quickly. But Jens just holding onto this position for now.
Just is the word, and Vitor Gens is doing everything possible to keep Kilmani Almeida just behind. There's some great scraps in the middle as well. Dalla Valle, Beer and Seeger out there in a race, as well as Elliott Smith now and EJ Nixon just in front of that. So a lot of battling going on. The 14 looking pretty good here in the final 2 minutes. We are going to be down to 2 laps to go. As a minute 45 remains on the clock. A lap around here, a minute 17. They're going to cross with about 15 seconds to go. And how dangerous is it? A track when you've got a lot of fuel usage around here that you have to go out there and go again. And in talking about going again, here comes Kilmani Almeida.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the amount of time left on the clock may have caught a couple of drivers out, so we'll see if everyone maintains pace over this lap, or whether some drivers back out of it a little bit. I'll tell you what, that is a textbook move at Phillip Island, holding the outside through turn 1 and then maintaining it through Southern Loop. Brilliant move for Almeida. Gets it done, but Hinz has checked out ahead though. He's already pulled a second.
He has. He's got eyes on Christian Moore. If he can get there, he's a second to chase that down, so that's going to be at least tough in the late stages of this one. There is Matthias Beer looking to open up an attack then on the penultimate lap on Andrea Dalla Valle, who has had a very up and down day, I think is the right way to say. And shout out to that Ford. We don't often see the Fords in. There's rumours that the Ford may be dropped for next season, with maybe a few ideas of Porsche trying to hint at something at the end of the Esports Super Cup. So Jonas Seeger piloting that Ford.
Yeah, good to see that we've still got a Ford out there as Lorenz de Wright just getting back on the circuit. He's going to drop spot to Smith and Nixon, and now side by side through H-Shed. That doesn't work ever.
No, with a lap and a bit to go, it has somehow worked into Wright's wide. So thank you, says Beer. I'll take one. And now you start wondering here where the Seeger and Co. It's not going to be taken as they go through. There at MG, but we are now on the final lap of this race, and this becomes a case of what battles where. Garib in control, but oh, what a send! What a send! It's too much of a send. John Derek goes straight on in that Rottenberry machine, runs out wide, and this may just be the podium gone. Luca Iappuccino has a half chance of a sniff of this one now, as you'd have to say, get it back sorted, put the power down. You've got to do everything in your power, John, if you want to hold on to it. It's been a very important race in terms of managing the strategy, but one driver so far has been able to do that. As we look at Thomas Hinz briefly, it's the number 2 machine of Ahmed Garib, who will make his way through turn number 11, will go through the gears towards turn number 12 as he looks to search for everything possible out there. He just proved to everyone how he stayed at the front and made sure everyone behind could only watch and bask in what was a wonderful race. Ahmed Garib takes victory here at Phillip Island. It's Anderuti in second, and John Derek will hold on for a podium.
Definitely would literally hold on, just held on to that. Good job from Iappuccino to almost get back into a podium position that he had earlier on in the race. Hinz couldn't quite get to more. Almeida held on from that position as well. Still battles going on back in the field as well. The right with his rejoin. He's just going to hold on, is he? No, he's out of fuel. And the Ford gets another spot at the end.
Robbed at the finish. And also Matthias Beer gets robbed by Jason Williams over the line. So some amazing battles. Robert Plumley's going to be close here to the line. The Geodesic car wants to charge, and that Ferrari could be in a bit of trouble, but is okay over the line. So that was another good scrap. But wow, that was one which had pretty much everything. Big instance. There's the Conducci livery out there on the Ferrari. Of course, we'll catch this on the virtual racing score replay here, the finish that we've got going on forward. Lorenz de Reich trying to get himself through, running a quote-unquote Reich energy car, I would say, out there on track at the moment, and he was all out. Boom, there it goes. A shade of Scott's McLaughlin there as he was trying to get it through over towards the line. So the Ford picks one up, one more, and you definitely don't knock those. You feel your second best and you run out of fuel. No, that's a free place. You take those every single day of the week. Come rain, come shine, come Monday, Friday, Sunday, no matter what day it is when you go out there and battle. But confirmation result, Ahmed Garib, 41 minutes, 10 seconds, wins by 3.4 in the end over Leandro Anderuti, with John Derek there making sure it's a double podium there for the fantastic team that has put itself into the best possible position. The Rottenberry Racing cars there doing a wonderful job today. Luca Iappuccino had himself a chance to get close, but couldn't capitalize on John Derek's mistake on the final lap, so that didn't quite work. Andrea Salvi picking up 5th place, then the second of the Lamborghinis. Christian Mora would finish off in 6th, and despite a bit of damage, Thomas Hinz would still be able to manage 7th place in the AMG Mercedes best of that class as they went through, with Kilmani Almeida in 8th and Vitor Gens in 9th, ahead of Francisco Javier Gonzalez 2. Then over the page to 11th position, it is Elliott Smith, who had a very entertaining day in the McLaren. 11th place ultimately to finish there for him, with 12th place going to EJ Nixon and Andrea Dalla Valle finishing 13th. The only Ford in the field finishes in 14th. That was Jonas Seeger picking it up on the line by 2/10 or a 1/10.5 or so against Loren de Rijk there in the number 15 car. Werner Neugebauer had his spin late. He finished off in 16th, with Jason Williams picking one up late in 17th against the only BMW in the field in the form of Matthias Beer. And the only Ferrari, Robert Plumley, there, the Kinducci racing man, then just finishing off ahead of Nathan Parkinson for Geodesic there as the top 20 finished itself out. Quinn Mitchell, Mauro Sanchini, who had a very, very entertaining start to his race there in 22nd. Elia Marini, the last finisher on the leading lap and last finisher, so to speak, as the 5 retirements were Anders Thies Ankerson, Guto de Carvalho, the dramatic accident for Nicolas Pacheco, the very much trials and tribulations of Felix Schuster, and then the one big moment for Matthias Bengston, making up the 28 that went around this place. But it is a trip back to basics, Jay, for next week. It's a track that all these drivers should know very well. Another small track, Okayama.
Yeah, track that every driver in iRacing is familiar with, of course, part of rookie content. So there's no excuse for not understanding the circuit. We should see some big grids with it being free content as well. A track that nobody has to purchase as an extra add-on. So I'm looking forward to seeing how many drivers we have and how this circuit does produce GT racing. I've never ever watched a GT race at Okayama in iRacing, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
I also feel for those 3 fans there on the left-hand side of that bridge who must have either A, the worst seating in the world, or B, must feel very, very sore at the moment with a bridge halfway through them. Either way, though, some wonderful work being done here today at the VRS GT Sprint Series as we have put things to a close here at Phillip Island. A massive thanks has to go to the Virtual Racing School, title sponsor of the series, and of course sponsoring the replays with us here for this year for SimSpeed TV across all of the broadcasts that we have. If you haven't had the chance already, you can like, share, and subscribe to SimSpeed TV for more sim racing content and some amazing sim racing content on top of that. But from Jay Kennedy doing double duty on cameras and on commentary, myself, Jake Sperry, it was a Rottenberry day. Absolutely. Ahmed Garib doing everything that was needed and a bit more here today to pick up the right result. Phillip Island may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's not about how the cup of tea is or if you like it or not. It's how you pick up wins and how you showcase your talents here when the VRS GT Sprint Series comes to town. We'll see you 1 week from now as we make the jump to Okayama.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?